the biggest albums of the 70s. I'm John Bonham from Rock History Book. Today, the top albums from 1979, according to Cashbox Magazine. In 1979, the average cost of a house was $58,000, and folks were earning around $17.5K per year. A Mercury Cougar XR7 would cost you $6,400. And Sony introduced the Walkman, it would cost you $200. We were watching 60 Minutes, Three's Company, and MASH, and on the big screen, don't forget Meatballs, Star Trek, the motion picture, and Kramer vs. Kramer. And the music? On February 15th, 1979, producer Phil Ramone and Billy Joel won Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Just the Way You Are at the Grammys. Album of the Year went to Saturday Night Fever. Of course, these were achievements from 1978. One of the biggest groups, not just of the 70s, but of all time, Led Zeppelin released their follow-up to 1976's live concert soundtrack, The Song Remains the Same. In Through the Outdoor was known as that John Paul Jones album. Jimmy Page was dealing with heroin addiction, and John Bonham was slowly killing himself with booze. In fact, the drummer died only 13 months later after choking on his own vomit. Bonham was only 32. So Robert Plant and Jones took the helm on this one. The hit Fool in the Rain peaked at number 21 on the Billboard charts, and All of My Love got loads of FM airplay. The follow-up to the Cars' self-titled 1978 debut album did not suffer that dreaded sophomore jinx. Candy-O actually outsold its predecessor, peaking at number 3 on the Billboard charts. That was 15 points higher than the first one. The lead-off single, Let's Go, was one of the big summer songs of 1979. Rick Ocasek says Candy-O was a very democratic band album. Everybody in the group voted on everything. The title tune was never a single, but it's really one of those hidden gems on this project. It's quintessential new wave, kick-ass guitar synthesizer-oriented driving music. Back in 1979, it was probably blamed for a few speeding tickets. Cars bassist and vocalist Benjamin Orr died on October 3, 2000 of pancreatic cancer. He was 53. This one included the number 1 song of the year. It was impossible not to have this drum bass line etched in your noggin in the second half of 1979. My Sharona was Capitol Records' fastest status debut single since the Beatles' I Wanna Hold Your Hand in 1964. Look familiar? Knack guitarist Bert Navarre came up with the riff before he even joined the band. Lead vocalist Doug Fieger loved it as well, but nothing happened until he turned 25. That's when he met 17-year-old Sharona Alperin. It was like getting hit in the head with a baseball bat, said Fieger. I fell in love with her instantly. So did we. It was written in only 15 minutes. Critics have accused the tune of sounding like the 1967 Spencer Davis Group hit Give Me Some Lovin'. But Fieger says the tom-tom drum rhythm is just a rewrite of Going to the Go-Go by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles from 1965. The album's clean sound is a tip of the hat to the production style of the 60s, and even winking at the Who's My Generation with their own stuttering on My Sharona. Fieger battled brain and lung cancer until his death on February 14, 2010. He was 57. In 1978, Rod Stewart was thinking he wanted to wear the jersey, and it had disco written all over it. He was looking for a dance song for his Blondes Have More Fun album. Like the Stones had done with some girls, he wanted a disco hit like Miss You. Rod's drummer, Carmine Appice, called his old keyboard buddy, Dwayne Hitchings, saying, "You gotta help me write a disco tune." So they wrote Do You Think I'm Sexy in 20 minutes. By the way, Hitchings will go on to write Young Turks and Infatuation with Rod Stewart. Sexy went straight to number 1, and the other single, Ain't Love a Bitch, peaked at number 22. The full unofficial name of the album was Blondes Have More Fun, and if you looked at the back of the sleeve, it added Or Do They? Kiss would go on with their own splash of disco in May 1979 with I Was Made for Loving You. Contrary to public belief, the Bee Gees did not start disco, and neither did the movie Saturday Night Fever. That infectious four-on-the-floor beat was already a subculture in the early to mid-70s. In December 1977, when Saturday Night Fever was finally released, the Bee Gees served as a chainsaw in a hurricane, spreading the bouncy gospel like a firecracker on steroids, even to the haters. By 1979, the band had a hard act to follow. Anything in the shadow of that movie seemed doomed. Spirits Having Flown was the Gibb Brothers' 15th album, and it didn't do the impossible by even coming close to the sales of the soundtrack, but it was a huge hit on its own. Now let's consider, that corny Bee Gees Beatles tribute movie, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, came in between both projects. People were forgiving. In fact, some critics called Spirits Having Flown the last great Bee Gees project. With 3 big hits, Too Much Heaven, Tragedy, and Love You Inside Out, the album went straight to number 1 in over 20 countries. Also, the title track sounds like a hit. Maurice Gibb died of a heart attack on January 12, 2003. He was 53. Robin Gibb died of cancer May 20th, 2012. He was 62. Check out part 2 of the top albums of 1979 on our channel. I'm John Bonham from Rock History Book.